For nearly a century, 200 ships and 100 airplanes have vanished after entering a single specific location. This region, the most mysterious and cursed stretch of the ocean, is known as the Bermuda Triangle, a place from which the chances of returning are extremely slim. While similar accidents occur frequently across various oceans of the world, what specific mystery lies hidden within the Bermuda Triangle that causes even scientists to regard it as the most dangerous place of all? You will learn about this very subject in today's video. If you were to search for the Bermuda Triangle on a world map, you would not find it marked there. The boundaries we pinpoint on maps are based solely on conjecture. No one has ever reached a consensus regarding its exact location on a global scale. It is estimated that this area spans approximately 1.3 million square kilometers, or 500,000 square miles, making it roughly the size of 2 Japans. In 1964, in Argo magazine, American author Vincent H. Gaddis was the first to describe this region as the Bermuda Triangle, characterizing it by its triangular shape. It is believed that this zone begins at the island of Bermuda and extends through Miami, Florida, all the way to Puerto Rico. Located within this very region lies the deepest point of the Atlantic Ocean, the Milwaukee Deep. It is so deep that 11 Burj Khalifas could be stacked vertically, one atop the other, inside it. It is not simply the case that ships remain undiscovered because they vanish precisely at the Atlantic's deepest point. Rather, the vessels that have disappeared here have vanished without leaving behind even a single trace. Furthermore, regarding the abandoned ships that researchers have managed to locate in this area, there is absolutely no rhyme or reason, no logic whatsoever behind their disappearance. For instance, on December 5, 1872, the British ship Dei Gratia was sailing approximately 400 miles off the coast of the Azores. During their voyage, Captain David Morehouse and his crew spotted a ship in the distance. Upon approaching it, they realized it was the Mary Celeste, the very vessel that just a week earlier their friend Benjamin Briggs had been captaining on a voyage from New York to Genoa. This ship's route took it through the Bermuda Triangle. When Captain Moore signaled the Mary Celeste, he received no response. After waiting several hours without receiving any reply from the vessel, he dispatched a few of his crew members to board the ship. Upon entering, they found that everything appeared to be in perfect order. However, despite the presence of 7 crew members, a captain, his wife, and their 5-year-old daughter, everyone on board had vanished. Even a small lifeboat kept inside the ship was missing. The only sign of life was a hungry bird, trapped in a cage inside the vessel, chirping in distress. Aside from that, everything else within the ship remained intact. For instance, a 6-month supply of food and various cargo items were still in place. Furthermore, there were absolutely no signs indicating that the ship had been attacked by pirates. The question that now arises is this: a captain typically never abandons his vessel, not even in the midst of a violent oceanic storm. What, then, did they encounter within the Bermuda Triangle that compelled them to abandon a ship laden with such valuable cargo? And where or how did they vanish from the vessel? To this day, the Mary Celeste remains an unsolved mystery. A similarly mysterious incident occurred in 1944. An American ship named the Rubicon was sailing from Cuba to Havana. Its route, too, passed through the Bermuda Triangle. However, the ship suddenly disappeared. After nearly a month of searching, the U.S. Navy located the vessel near Florida, an area that falls within the boundaries of the Bermuda Triangle. Military personnel boarded the ship and found that everything on board was in perfect order. Yet, despite the fact that there should have been 300 people on board, every single one of them had vanished. The only living creature found was a dog wandering aimlessly on the deck. There was no trace of any human being. The remaining food, supplies, and personal belongings were all left completely intact. It appeared as though the ship's passengers had, one by one, leapt overboard in an act of mass suicide. These are not the only two mysterious incidents of this kind. In 1925, the SS Cotopaxi set sail from Charleston, South Carolina. Its intended destination was Havana, Cuba. Once again, the route lay directly through the Bermuda Triangle. However, the ship never reached its destination. Yet, in 1980, the wreckage of this ship was discovered deep within a desert, a truly astonishing occurrence. In January 2020, marine biologists confirmed that this was indeed the long-lost SS Cotopaxi. The most terrifying aspect is that the dread associated with the Bermuda Triangle is not confined solely to the sea. It extends even into the skies. For this very reason, even pilots are afraid to fly over this region. In December 1945, a squadron of 5 torpedo bombers, led by senior officers and carrying a crew of 14, departed from Florida. It was intended to be a 3-hour training exercise. However, just 19 minutes into the flight, the aircraft began experiencing technical difficulties. Flight leader Charles Taylor radioed a message reporting that weather conditions in the area had deteriorated severely and that their compasses were malfunctioning. Furthermore, contact with the other 4 pilots had been lost. Immediately after transmitting this final message, all 5 aircraft vanished. 2 additional planes were dispatched to search for the missing squadron, yet one of these rescue aircraft also vanished, and the location where this occurred lay within the Bermuda Triangle. Since this incident, no wreckage of those 6 planes has ever been found to this day. They vanished forever. According to researchers, the planes likely lost their way because their compasses malfunctioned. Subsequently, having run out of fuel, they crashed into the sea. But now, the question arises: how did the rescue plane 2 arrive at that very location only to disappear? No one had an answer to this. Another such incident occurred on December 4th, 1970. Bruce Jernan and his business partner set off from Andros Island bound for Miami Beach. At the time, Bruce was piloting a Beechcraft Bonanza. The distance of this route was 400 kilometers, and the journey was expected to take 90 minutes. As the plane entered the Bermuda Triangle, Bruce observed a tunnel-like formation made of clouds directly ahead of him. It resembled a funnel. The further Bruce advanced, the more this cloud tunnel seemed to stretch out before him. He could see no end to it. When he entered the tunnel, the interior was shrouded in pitch-black darkness. However, shortly after penetrating the cloud, sudden flashes of brilliant white light began to erupt. He braced himself, convinced he was about to perish from a lightning strike. But then, with a sudden jolt, he burst out of the cloud tunnel. Upon landing at Miami Airport, he noticed that he had consumed only half the amount of fuel typically required to travel from Andros Island to Florida. This meant that on that particular day, he had reached his destination in just 47 minutes. To this day, no one has been able to solve the mystery of how Bruce managed to reach his destination so rapidly on that occasion. Friends, various researchers have put forward their own theories in an attempt to unravel the mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle. For instance, according to oceanographers, ships in the region sink due to the occurrence of rogue waves. Rogue waves are massive swells that originate in the ocean, often reaching heights equivalent to a 5-story building. When individual waves converging from different directions and traveling at specific speeds collide at a single point, they coalesce to form a rogue wave. In other words, a single wave can tower up to 30 feet in height. If waves continue to converge from various directions, they can rise to a towering height of 100 feet. Such colossal waves are capable of dwarfing even the largest ships. The Bermuda Triangle is, in fact, notorious for precisely these kinds of massive oceanic storms. Yet even this theory fails to adequately explain every mystery associated with the region. Ships have been discovered here completely devoid of passengers or crew. So, what exactly befell those vessels? According to some experts, when storms erupt with extreme ferocity in the open ocean, particularly when rogue waves appear, they generate an unbearable acoustic resonance. This sound produces a detrimental effect on the human nervous system, causing the ship's passengers and crew to lose their faculties of rational thought. Driven by panic, they scramble frantically in all directions in a desperate attempt to save themselves. Many even leap overboard. This explains why the cargo and supplies found on abandoned ships recovered from the Bermuda Triangle often remain completely intact, while the passengers themselves are never found. Another theory posits that in certain parts of the Bermuda Triangle, underwater mud volcanoes erupt, releasing methane gas in the form of bubbles. If such an eruption occurs directly beneath a ship, the vessel will sink beneath the waves instantly without any prior warning. Essentially, the presence of methane reduces the density of the water, thereby destroying the ship's buoyancy. Furthermore, methane is a highly flammable gas. If it comes into contact with the heat emitted by an aircraft's engines, the plane will explode instantaneously. Consequently, locating the wreckage of the ship or aircraft becomes an incredibly difficult task. Moreover, when this gas erupts underwater, it creates a massive sinkhole, a phenomenon visually akin to a flushing toilet. If a ship happens to cross paths with such a vortex, it is inevitably sucked down into the depths. Additionally, hexagonal cloud formations have been observed in this area. These clouds generate storms of such immense power that no aircraft can withstand the sheer velocity of the resulting winds. This region also happens to contain the deepest point of the Atlantic Ocean. Should a shipwreck happen to occur in this region, locating the wreckage at such depths becomes nearly impossible. According to researchers, the Bermuda Triangle is a zone of heavy traffic. If ships were to avoid the route from Miami to Puerto Rico, 90% of Caribbean vacations would be ruined. Moreover, given the sheer volume of traffic, the likelihood of the occasional ship or plane accident remains, however slim. If you observe closely, you will realize that over the past 20 years, accidents have been witnessed in various parts of the ocean, not just within the Bermuda Triangle. The crash of the Malaysian airliner, for instance, serves as a case in point. However, the Bermuda Triangle has become so sensationalized that only accidents occurring within its boundaries tend to capture the public's attention. Nevertheless, the bizarre experience recounted by Bruce Jernan remains a mystery to this day. Friends, what do you think? Was Bruce telling the truth? Or did he present a fabricated story to the world? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. That is all for today. For now, I bid you farewell. We shall meet again in the next episode.